But as you're writing songs now, you're actually going, oh, and then Peter
Yeah.
would play this part, and
Yep. And
how much of it do you think? Do you come up, or are you still coming up with all the parts that you're going to give to everybody, or do
Yeah.
you leave leeway for people to interpret things?
well, when I was writing Delirious Morning, that was last summer. I was living out in New York, and I'd quit working at the cafe I was working at. I was like, I just want to invest all my time I can into songwriting, and so that's when I really put a lot of attention into writing second guitar parts, especially because I didn't want there just to be a chord on top of a chord. I was like, well, when we're on stage, we don't have the luxury of having 8 people there all the time. So why don't we start paring it down a little bit and have a song that has 5 parts to it? And there's lots of songs in Delirious Morning that have way more than 5 parts, but that's when I started thinking more about kind of lining that up with the performance aspect of it. And so these new demos, I feel like, really reflect that. And so I tend to write the bass part and the guitar part, and then if there's any kind of textural parts or piano parts, write all that stuff.
Are you still writing it on guitar, or do you go to a piano then and do the piano part?
I play it on piano.
And the bass on bass.
Yep, I have bass and all that stuff now.
When you did that last summer in New York, like what was that? You quit that job and you're gonna just focus on songwriting. What did that look like? Was it like 8 a.m. your alarm goes off and you make your coffee and you sit down?
8 a.m. I was
pen and
usually still
paper?
up from the night before. But
I mean, did it? And
yeah, I
just-
tried to get into a routine. I'd wake up usually around like 9:30 because where we were staying was right by like the Queensboro Express. So at 5:30 in the morning, it was backed up, and it's like man, police cars, and the whole building would shake when when a big truck would drive down the road, and I mean you couldn't get any sleep there, and it was so hot, like even at 5:30 in the morning, it was like 90 degrees out, and it felt terrible. So I usually get up like 9:30, go in and make some coffee, some French press, and I just sit down and read or write for about an hour, and then I'd go in and I'd start working on the songs. And I really thought a lot about the flow of the songs, like how a song was going to start, how it was going to end, and where the arc of a song was going to be. And I still was leaving the lyrics to be the last thing.
So you're
Most
writing
of the
music
time.
without words entirely?
Writing it with a melody in mind. And so I started to orchestrate the parts around where the melody is going to come in, where it's going to come out. That's where guitar is going to come in. Let's have the violins kind of play a second role here and then flash up here for a second. So I was thinking a lot more about the arrangement and how to work all those textures together to make something that flowed really well. I wanted to try to eliminate like unnatural pauses or abrupt stops in the song, or cut off some extraneous flesh a little bit. One thing that I really like about that I appreciate about pop country music is there's no wasted space. I mean, those songs are like 2 minutes 40 seconds long, and they get to the end of a chorus and they wait like 2 seconds and then they get back into the song, and so they get all the ideas across, but they trim it up real close. And it's not I wasn't trying to be that particular about everything, but I was really trying to identify the spots that could use some editing.
So when you're doing this writing, are you recording all the ideas on a laptop then and doing it that way, or you're not using a 4-track anymore?
No, I brought my computer out there and set up in the bedroom. And
are you using Pro Tools or GarageBand?
I use Logic.
Okay.
So this is a song called Belmont Stakes. This is on the new album. This is a demo version.
Is the day of the race, all the bets.
That's the apartment I stayed at in New York.
So there you are working on your
Yeah.
song. With your typewriter where you were writing out your
I
lyrics.
kind of set that up for the photo.
Did you take this photo?
Yeah, I set everything up and then I set up the camera. Everybody else was gone. I'm like, I need to get a new photo. So that's the
So what's the little bell sound at the top? Is that
the bell. That's just a synthesizer, glockenspiel.
you're doing it MIDI, or are you
MIDI, yeah.
So through the computer?
Yep. So yeah, that was that organic, and even the bass. The bass on this is just was played on the piano using an upright plugin. I like the upright sound a lot for this song. But on the actual album, we used electric bass. So this is the album version now.
And this is a real Glock?
Yeah.
Did they have that?
It's the day of the race.
So it's a lot more bombastic. And it's not, like, the mix is far less muddy. Like on the other one, it's just like, you hear this giant sound, even though there's no instruments happening. And so where Demo-itis comes in is when you can hear the lo-fi quality of the other song, and that washes out a lot of the detail, and it kind of gives the song an overall hum or a frequency that I think is kind of like when you hold a cup of hot chocolate. It's like, oh, like, this feels nice. And then this is when you, I don't know, drop that cup of hot chocolate and you face reality.
So on a tune like this, so you had the whole, you had the tune, you had all the instrumentation
Yep.
down, and you had a melody.
Yep.
Does the melody? I mean, I'm just curious about the very beginnings of a song idea. Like, is it you're just strumming on chords on the guitar and you're just finding and you're humming a melody to yourself, or do you get a melody before you even have, and then you have to figure it out on the
Sometimes the melody comes first. That's usually that's what happens if I'm walking around. Like going for a walk through New York was the best way to come up with melody ideas. Is I would, even if I didn't have any chords in mind, because taking a walk is like a very natural rhythm section, and so I would sort of, I don't know, when I go for walks by myself, I kind of hum and sing and talk to myself a little bit. It probably look really freaky, so that's why.
Were you recording any of the idea, or do you just have it all in your
No,
head?
I used to carry around a dictaphone, but that was just a pain in the ass.
But now when you come up with a melody like that from just walking, you just have it in your
Yeah,
head.
I figure I'll
Hold
sing
on to
it,
enough.
and I'll come up with something I like. If I forget it, then it wasn't the right one. But if I come back home and I still remember it, then I'll kind of build a song from there. I mean, it only takes going for a walk for 30 seconds before I start thinking about melodies and thinking about songs and thinking about how my surroundings are making me feel and what kind of song that makes me want to hear. I think that's where it comes from, is I want to hear a certain song, or I want there to be a soundtrack. And since there usually isn't music blaring all over the place all the time, I just come up with my own stuff.
When you're walking like that and you're coming up with a melody, do you then start filling it out in your head, like the other instrumentation? Or
Yeah.
You
Little
come
bit,
back and
little
you're like,
bit.
oh, I know, that's the Glock part.
Yeah, the Glock part, I hadn't really used it in a song before, and we had one, and I'm like, well, how do I begin a song differently than other songs that I've written before? And that's one thing about continuing to write songs, is I don't want to do the same thing all the time. And for this collection of songs, I was really, really mindful of that. I wanted to come up with a different bridge for the song, modulate the chords, and think about the theory, but without getting too brainy about it.